Hey everyone, Thyworm here. Today I wanted to cover Dark Envoy. It's far away, this game, but back in 2019 it caught my eye already at GamesCom no less, because I played the previous game of the devs, The Tower of Time. I made a video about it too back in the day. I think Dark Envoy could be an interesting game and the devs shared more info about it. And you know what that means. A new video. If you enjoy a video like this, consider subscribing, because I'm asking nicely, maybe? It does help me reach more people, so there's that. Dark Envoy is developed by Event Horizon, an independent game studio from Poland, launched in 2016. Their debut title was The Tower of Time, which was a tactical RPG similar to games of old like Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, that stuff. I think it classifies as a CRPG, but I'm not great with those labels. Tower of Time had one feature that really stood out to me. The game had an interesting take on combat, which is typically just pause and give a bunch of commands, but not in the Tower of Time, although it was an option over there as well. What they did was slow down time significantly whenever you needed to make a decision or move your party members, and when you were done giving commands, time would flow normally. I liked this system a lot. It made combat a lot less static, and it really brought the Tower of Time to another level in terms of combat, within the genre, of course. Back in the day, I was quite impressed with the Tower of Time actually. It had a lot going for it, and watching back my own review from January 2019, I remember rather clearly everything that happened. The game featured some city building, interesting quests, a decent storyline, and the tactical combat I already mentioned, for only 20 euros or something. When the game is on sale, you can pick it up for 5 euros, which is a steal. Despite all of this, I felt that a single tower as the playing field was getting a little repetitive, because the whole game took place in one tower pretty much. Each tower level was rather distinct, but I still would have loved to venture outside a bit more, just for the variation. At some point, which is a common issue with these games, at least for me, the combat becomes a bit stale, because you figured out the optimal type of engagements and combos, and each fight plays out roughly the same. I quit playing for those reasons after around 15 hours. From the perspective of the developers, the Tower of Time was only the beginning, however, or as they call it, a successful experiment. Their next game, Dark Envoy, is going to be much more ambitious. Not much is known yet about it. It's set in the world of Ya'an, and you're one of the two kids of a refugee living your life as an adventurer, looking for relics and whatnot. The world seems to be a high fantasy world with orcs, elves and humans. You will have an airship as well, which you use to travel to the different biomes with your party, of course, and you will go on plenty of adventures, I'm sure. Of the actual story, not much has been revealed just yet. Just that you're on the brink of a massive war, which I guess is always a good setup for an interesting story. Coming back to those ambitions, the devs recently released an article, which you can find in the description, with 7 points on how they're going to innovate and optimize their next title. Dark Envoy will still be a similar game, and you can see the footage on the screen. You should know by now what kind of game we're talking about, but the implementation of these 7 features should make this one rather unique. Or maybe not unique, but at least worth looking out for. So I thought, let's just go through the list and give my opinion. Number 1. Co-op campaign experience. I think that's cool. Divinity Original Sin 2 is a similar genre to Dark Envoy, and it had this. I hardly ever play co-op in any game, but playing co-op through a story-driven game like this can be amazing, and I can totally see this work in the way they implemented combat as well. Number 2. Non-linear RPG narrative. I have yet to see the first dev that promises a totally linear experience. And honestly, there's nothing really even wrong with a linear experience, as long as you don't notice it all that much. But in this case, a non-linear experience makes sense, and your actions should impact the world, and I'm sure to some extent they will. Number 3. Replayability value. That's a tough one in games like these. I hardly ever play a game like this twice, even when it is excellent. Back in the day with Baldur's Gate, I did that a lot more, but these days I enjoy the story and characters, and then usually I finish it, and that's it. The devs plan to implement some randomly generated dungeons though, with cool, maybe even unique rewards, which would increase replayability. I like the idea of that actually. It's almost like a bit of endgame in a fully narrative-driven experience. Number 4. Dynamic gameplay flow. This is basically the combat flow I already spoke about, and I can tell you from experience, this really lets you manage combat in a much smoother way. I'm sure they'll optimize the current Tower of Time system, but this seems to be the same otherwise. Number 5. High quality visuals and effects. in 4K apparently. I mean, what can you say about this, right? Number 6. Modernization of classic RPG tropes. They basically want to give tried and proven RPG mechanics, maybe even CRPG mechanics, a modern twist. They did the same thing with the combat system, making it more dynamic, so I'm curious what they're cooking up here. No details really are given, so it's hard to make a good prediction here, but at least they got a decent track record, I would say, so I'm curious to see what they come up with next. And number 7, an exploration of an intriguing world. I think this is what was missing the most for me in the Tower of Time. The experience was rather linear, moving from floor to floor, and the biomes and environments to explore were somewhat limited. These games tend to be around 40 hours long, if not more, and just a good story and decent combat isn't enough to keep me interested anymore for the whole duration. That could just be me, I'm very well aware of that. But at this point, a more intriguing world would really go a long way in keeping me enticed to play more. Hopefully, as soon as you get to your airship or skyship, you feel the need to explore. You want to go hunting those rare artifacts. That's definitely a gameplay loop I can get into, and it really will depend all on the implementation of this feature. I think overall though, a good list. Nothing shocking, to be honest. I mean, who doesn't want good graphics, right? But nevertheless, I appreciate the heads up from the devs, and they're clearly setting out to make a much better game than the Tower of Time. And once again, that game was already pretty good in my opinion, especially considering it is their first game. Dark Envoy so far is planned for Q1 2022, so it's more than half a year away. If you're interested though, put it on your wishlist. That really helps the devs. It's a bit like subscribing on YouTube, guys, you know? Expect more videos in the future about this one. I will keep you posted, and for now, that is it. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Love you all. Bye bye.